Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. It's nice having us on the platform of Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies, National Open University of Nigeria. I want to appreciate everybody that is online. Let me first and foremost appreciate Prof, who has been the father of the center, in the person of Professor Akim Idikule Tijani. Thank you, sir, for joining us today, particularly for this presentation today. That's going to be my first time that I'm hosting the program. I appreciate you, sir, Prof. May Almighty God continue to lift you up. I appreciate the Dean of Faculty of Social Science, Professor Bello Kamal. I appreciate our professors, some of them that have not yet joined and I know will be joining soon. Let me appreciate the Vice Chancellor of the university, Professor Femi Peter, who has given the center the opportunity to continue to run this program, and all our past professors, Professor Abdallah. We appreciate you if you are online there. Appreciate also Professor Jegede, appreciate Professor Tenebe, every other one that I remember I'll be mentioning them. Thank you for the opportunity to keep the center running. And may I also appreciate Ted Fund, also who has been our sustainer. Well, I promise that we will continue to do our best to meet up with our expectations, particularly as it comes to our work in research and our monthly presentation, whereby people are empowered by their knowledge, getting more information about issues of migration. So I appreciate every one of us, all the deans present, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, Deputy Vice Chancellor Admin, DVCT I have, and all the principal officers of the university, the registrar of the university, and everyone that is already online or will join us later. Thank you so much for being part of this presentation. This is very important to me because this is my first time to host this program as the new director. So please, you bear with us in case we make one or two errors, but I know that we'll perfect as we'll go on. I am hosting this together with my colleague, who is the head of the academic in the center, in the person of Dr. Joyce Ejukonemo. Please, can you just say hi to the people, Dr. Joyce? Let them see you.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma. Good morning, Prof, sir. Good morning, the Prof, sir. Good morning, Professor Akin. Good morning, sir. Good morning to everybody. Mr. Presenter, good morning. Director, thank you very much for this introduction, sir.
You're welcome. We'll be hosting this together so that we avoid any error or irregularity. So in order not to waste our time, we have our presenter today who is starting the year for us in the person of Dr. Jacob Oluwafemi Orimaye. Jacob Oluwafemi Orimaye is a seasoned lecturer in tourism. He was one time the HOD of tourism, presently a center director in National Open University. We'll be presenting to us today on the topic from migration to conservation, the diaspora effect on ecotourism development. From migration to conservation, the diaspora effect on ecotourism development. I know that he's well prepared for this topic and is ready to impact us, is ready to enlighten us is ready to give us more knowledge about ecotourism and migration. Let me use this opportunity to properly introduce this person. He is a reader in ecotourism and wildlife management at the National Open University, Abuja, the Center Director of Otun Ayegbaju Studies Center, Osun State. Dr. Orimaye holds a PhD in ecotourism and wildlife management, alongside advanced and foundational degrees in wildlife, fisheries, and environmental management, reflecting a strong interdisciplinary grounding in conservation, science, and sustainable tourism study. Dr. Orimaye's academic career spans teaching, research, and institutional leadership. He began as a lecturer at Ekiti State University in 2012, where he taught undergraduate and postgraduate courses in conservation biology, wildlife, ecology, and tourism planning. Since he joined National Open University in 2020, he has provided strategic, academic, and administrative leadership, contributing to his research interests include ecotourism, sustainability, sacred landscapes, biodiversity conservation, human-wildlife interactions, and community-based resource management. He has made notable contributions to applied conservation, include participation in the discovery of red-belly guinea along the Nigerian-Benin border, the development of the bus strike risk mitigation model for Nigerian airports, and contributions to the management planning of Kankpe National Park. Dr. Orimaye has published over 60 manuscripts in peer-reviewed journals and editorial volumes, and has attracted competitive research grants. Beyond academia, he is an active conservation advocate, engaging local and diaspora communities in environmental stewardship. His work consistently bridges research, policy, and practice, making him particularly well-positioned to speak on diaspora tourism and its roles in driving ecotourism development in migrant homeland. So we are privileged to have as our presenter today, Dr. Jacob Oluwafemi Orimaye. Before I ask him to open the floor, let us know that after his presentation, we'll be given opportunity to make contributions and thereafter ask questions. The essence of the presentation is to ensure that we learn something new and for some of us also to make contributions. And let me also say, peradventure, you have a paper, a robust academic work that's related to migration that you like to present on this platform. Please feel free to get in touch with Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies, National Open University. Will give you opportunity to make your presentation and also publish in our quarterly, our journal that will publish annually. And I also want to appreciate and acknowledge the presence of the immediate past director of the center in the person of Professor Aneto. I just saw her on the platform. Prof, thank you for giving me the opportunity to take over your legacy. And I want to promise you and your predecessor, who has been the father, Professor Tijani, that I will not disappoint you and I will not disappoint the center. We will keep the flag flying. Thank you, sir. Can I welcome Dr. Orimaye to please take the floor and make his presentation. Dr. Orimaye, please, can you please put on your video and share your...
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
I say good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to today's webinar. It is a fascinating intersection between human migration. I welcome you all to today's webinar. It is going to be a fascinating one because it is an intersection between human migration and environmental conservation. Today, we shall be exploring how diaspora communities, that is, people who have migrated from their homeland and settled elsewhere, are becoming powerful driver of ecotourism development and conservation founding in their homeland. When we think about migration, we often focus on movement itself or the challenges of integration. However, there is also a beautiful return journey that deserves our attention. Millions of migrants maintain deep emotional and financial ties to their homeland. Increasingly, these connections are expressed through nature-based tourism that supports both local communities and environmental protection. Migration, memory, and return. Migration may mean departure, loss, or separation. But for many migrants, migration is also a story of continuity because people do not leave their memories behind. They carry their identities, their cultures, their emotional connection to home with them, sometimes for a lifetime. Those emotional cultural ties do not disappear with distance. They persist, and over time, many migrants feel a strong pull to return, not necessarily to resettle, but to reconnect. Increasingly, this reconnection happens through return visits, especially through nature-based tourism. Many migrants return to home to visit forests, rivers, wildlife areas, and rural landscape they grew up knowing or hearing about. They do this more than traveling. And through this, tourism becomes a pathway of return, a way to renew relationship with place, family, and heritage. What makes this return important is that these visits often go beyond cities and resorts. They take people back to natural and cultural landscape that matter deeply to them. In doing so, return tourism supports local livelihood and create opportunities for conservation support. So rather than seeing migration as a disconnect, we should understand it as a part of a cycle where emotional ties leads to return, return support nations and communities, and conservation success strengthens those ties even further. This is where migration, memory, and return come together. What is diaspora tourism? Let me start by explaining what we mean by diaspora tourism. Diaspora tourism refers to travel by migrants and their descendants back to their homeland or ancestral places. But it is important to understand that this is not just an ordinary tourism. It is a journey that is deeply motivated by identity, belonging, and heritage. For many diaspora travelers, the journey is more than leisure. It is about reconnecting with families, revisiting familiar landscape, and rediscovering places that shape who they are. This is why diaspora tourism is often described as a form of homecoming rather than holidays. What also makes this tourism distinct from mass tourism is the kind of experience people seek. Diaspora travelers are usually not interested in package attraction alone. They want meaningful engagement like walking ancestral land, visiting rural community, and spending time in culturally significant places. Because of this, diaspora tourism aligns very naturally with ecotourism. It emphasizes authenticity, emotional connection, and respect for local culture and environment. When people travel not just to see a place, but to reconnect, tourism becomes a powerful tool for supporting both local livelihood and conservation efforts. In short, diaspora tourism sits at the intersection of identity, heritage, belonging, and return, which makes it particularly relevant for sustainable and nature-based tourism. Why diaspora tourism fits ecotourism? Let me explain this in a simple term. Diaspora tourism fits naturally with ecotourism because the motivations are similar. Diaspora tourism are often not interested in package attraction or standard tour experience. They do not just want to see a place, they want to feel connected to it. They walk through forests and their ancestors as once walked, swim in rivers they grew up hearing about, and visit rural villages linked to their family history. This strong demand for authenticity is exactly what ecotourism is built around. Diaspora tourism are also naturally drawn to natural environments, not just cities or resorts. They are often the same place where ecotourism projects are located, like forests, like wetlands, mountain, and community-managed landscape. Just as importantly, diaspora tourism encourages community engagement. And because visitors have family ties and cultural connections, they are more willing to interact with local people, support community business, and respect local custom. So, when you place diaspora tourism and ecotourism side by side, the intersection is very clear. Both value legitimacy, community, and low impact experiences. This is why diaspora tourism is not just compatible with ecotourism. It is one of its strongest natural allies. Scale and economic significance of diaspora tourism. Globally, diaspora communities send more than 600 billion US dollars back to their countries of origin each year. This is one of the largest and most stable financial flow in the world. Yet, we usually talk about this money only in terms of household remittance. What we often overlook is that a growing share of these resources is not being spent on travel. It's now being spent on travel and tourism. According to the World Bank estimate, beyond family support, diaspora funds increasingly finance return visits, holidays, and heritage travel. These trips are not casual or short. Diaspora tourists typically stay longer, spend more per visit, and return more frequently than conventional international tourists. This makes them a highly reliable and resilient market. What is particularly important is where they travel. Because of their cultural familiarity and emotional ties, diaspora travelers are more willing to go beyond major cities. They visit rural communities and natural areas, the very place where ecotourism opportunities are concentrated. And in doing so, they bring one, sustainable spending, local knowledge, and repeat visitation to destinations that mass tourism often ignores. Taken together, this pattern shows that diaspora tourism is an underutilized but powerful driver of ecotourism development, capable of supporting conservation while promoting inclusive local economic growth. Diaspora tourism and conservation outcome. According to regions, diaspora tourism is directly supporting conservation. Let me give you some real examples. In the Caribbean, countries like Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and Dominican Republic receive many visitors from their diaspora in North America and United Kingdom. These visitors are now choosing ecologists, nature walk, and conservation tours instead of only beach resort of the old. The money they bring in has helped develop marine protected areas, rainforest reserve, and community conservation projects in that countries. In East Africa again, the Ethiopian diaspora is becoming very important for tourism. Many second and third generation Ethiopians living abroad are returning home. They are not only visiting Addis Ababa, they are trekking the Simian Mountains, visiting coffee forests, and spending time in rural communities. This has created income for local people and strong reasons to protect forests that might otherwise be cleared for farming. Now look at the Philippines. More than 10 million Filipinos live or work abroad. They send billions of dollars home every year. Today, many of them are investing in eco-resorts, sustainable diving, and community tourism in coastal and mountain areas. They bring global ideas and standards, but they also understand local culture, which help keep tourism authentic and sustainable. We also see clear example of this in Nigeria, though. Nigerian diaspora visitors regularly return home for cultural festivals, family events, and heritage collections. Many extend this visit to natural and rural areas. For example, diaspora Nigerians visiting Southeast often travel beyond major cities to home forests, sacred grove rivers, and community land linked to their ancestral history. In the Southwest, diaspora returnees attending festivals such as the Osun-Osogbo Festival increasingly participate in forest work, river conservation activities, and heritage-based eco-experience around the sacred grove. While this form of tourism is not always formally labeled as ecotourism, it already reflects ecotourism principle, showing that diaspora-driven ecotourism is already happening in Nigeria, even if it remains under-recognized and under structures. What is specifically important is this. Diaspora-led ecotourism reach places that normally tourism often ignores. These visitors go to remote villages and lesser-known nature sites because of personal ties. They visit places that are not in the guidebook. By doing this, they create job and income in areas that need alternatives to mining and other harmful activities. So, we can say that diaspora tourism is not just about coming home to visit family. It is a powerful way to support ecotourism, protect the environment, and strengthening rural communities. The question now is, how exactly does diaspora tourism translate into conservation funding? For want of time, let me outline only 4 mechanisms. There are more than that. The first one is direct investment. Diaspora members with capital and business experience are establishing ecologies, sustainable tour operation, and conservation enterprises in their homeland. These businesses create employment, generate revenue tax, and often include explicit conservation components like reforestation program and wildlife protection. 2, philanthropic contribution. Many diaspora tourists do not just visit. They donate to local conservation organizations, schools, and community projects. The emotional connection to their place of origin make them generous supporters of environmental protection efforts. The third point is awareness and advocacy. Diaspora community living in wealthy country becomes ambassadors for conservation in their homeland. They raise awareness internationally, attract other tourists, and sometimes influence policy through their network of resources. The fourth point is sustainable livelihood. When diaspora tourists create jobs in ecotourism, it provides alternative to poaching and other destructive activities. A family that can earn income from guiding nature walk or running a homestay has less incentive to clear the forest or hunt endangered species. Let me now be specific by giving you an example from Rwanda. The Rwandan diaspora, particularly those who fled during the conflict of 1990s, have become important visitors and investors in the country's remarkable conservation recovery. Their support has helped funding community conservation programs around Volcano National Park, which is the home to mountain gorillas. Diaspora members have invested in ecologists that employ local purpose and contribute portion of revenue to conservation trusts. Knowledge transfer and cultural revival. One of the most powerful but often overlooked contributions of diaspora tourism is knowledge transfer. Nigerians and other diaspora members who have lived abroad bring back ideas. They bring skill and perspective that can really boost ecotourism development and sustainable tourism at home. Many of them have studied or worked in countries with strong ecotourism industries. So when they return, even for a short visit, they share best practices in tourism management, marketing, customer service, and environmental stewardship. This helps local operators improve the quality of ecotourism offering and strengthen local participation. There is also something fascinating, which is called reverse knowledge transfer. The second and third generation diaspora member, especially those who grew up abroad, often want to reconnect with indigenous knowledge from their roots. They are curious about medicinal plants, traditional farming methods, conservation practices, and cultural connection to nature. This curiosity gives elders and traditional knowledge holders a chance to share their expertise, preserving knowledge that might otherwise be lost. In many communities, diaspora returnees are even lending ecotourism initiatives that put indigenous governance at the center. They act as bridges between their communities and global tourism market, making sure that tourism grows in a way that respects culture, protects environment, and creates economic opportunities. So we can say that diaspora tourism is more than just visiting home. It is a powerful engine for sustainable ecotourism, cultural preservation, and local development. Challenges and risks of diaspora tourism. Of course, diaspora-driven tourism is not without challenges, and we need to address this honestly. One major concern is the potential for diaspora investment to drive up land prices and displace local community. When migrants return with hard currencies, they may unconsciously contribute to gentrification in rural areas, making land unaffordable for non-migrants. This is particularly an issue in coastal and attractive areas with high tourism potential. Another challenge is authenticity and community control. Even with the best intention, diaspora-led ecotourism may not fully align with local community need or preference. The vision of someone who has lived abroad for decades can differ from the priorities of those who have stayed in the community. Another challenge is environmental impact. This is an issue which requires careful monitoring. Increased visitation, even by diaspora community, is necessary. Infrastructural development to accommodate returning diaspora visitors can lead to habitat loss, pollution or resource pressure if poorly planned. Seasonality is another factor that we can say is a challenge. Diaspora community is often concentrated during holiday or summer months, creating challenges for consistent employment and year-round business sustainability. Finally, there is the issue of equitable benefit distribution. By this, I mean that diaspora-owned or funded tourism business may primarily benefit the diaspora families themselves and their direct employee without generating broad community engagement or shared revenue. Addressing these challenges is essential to ensure that diaspora-driven ecotourism contributes to sustainable, inclusive, and locally benefit development. These are some of the best practices for successful diaspora tourism. Drawing from successful examples around the world, there are clear lessons on diaspora tourism, how diaspora tourism can be effectively leveraged on for ecotourism and conservation. The first is community engagement must begin from the start. By that, I mean diaspora tourism initiatives are most successful when local communities are actively involved in planning and decision-making from the very beginning. This goes beyond consultation. It means genuinely sharing power, ensuring that community members who never migrated have ownership stake, leadership role, and a real voice in how tourism develops. Secondly, strong partnership between diaspora and local actors are essential. The most effective model combine diaspora capital skill and international connection with local knowledge and everyday presence. Co-ownership arrangements, joint venture and collaborative management help balance these strengths and reduce tension. Thirdly, conservation certification and standard also matters. Encouraging diaspora-led tourism businesses to pursue recognized ecotourism certification help ensure environmental integrity. Frameworks such as those provided by Global Sustainable Tourism Council can guide responsible development and build credibility. Fourth, focus on capacity building rather than rely solely on diaspora expertise. Successful projects invest in training local people in guiding hospitality, tourism management, and conservation. This builds long-term resilience and ensures that benefits remain even if diaspora involvement changes. And fifth, establish fair benefit sharing mechanism. Clear agreement on revenue sharing through conservation fee, community development fund, or employment quota ensures that tourism supports both livelihood and ecosystem. And finally, government policy support also play a vital role. Government through amplified investment process, incentives for sustainable tourism, and strong protection of community land can also encourage positive diaspora engagement. Future opportunities of diaspora tourism. Looking ahead, diaspora-driven ecotourism is poised for significant growth. Younger generation of diaspora members are increasingly seeking meaningful impact-related travel. Rising concern about climate change are motivating many to protect heritage landscape, while remote work also allow longer stay. Digital platforms enable continuous engagement even when physically visit is not possible. Opportunities include different stakeholders can strategically engage diaspora tourism for conservation and development outcomes. 2, conservation organizations should actively involve diaspora community as partners, tapping into their emotional connection and financial capability. Outreach program tailored giving opportunities and advisory role can strengthen this engagement. Finally, local communities can proactively engage diaspora members by presenting clear proposals for ecotourism projects, promoting transparent governance while protecting community control. With generational shifts, technology-enabled engagement, climate urgency, and remote work opportunities, diaspora tourism often offer unprecedented potential to support ecotourism, conservation, and sustainable development in homeland communities. In conclusion, migration does not mean disconnection. The millions of people who have left their homeland still carry those places in their hearts, and many are finding ways to support the conservation of the rural environment that shaped them. Diaspora tourism represents a powerful but underutilized strategy for funding conservation, support sustainable livelihood, and building bridges between communities. When done well, it creates a virtuous cycle. Emotional connection drives visitation. Visitation generates revenue. Revenue supports conservation, and conservation success deepens connections and pride. The opportunities are very huge. Every country with a significant diaspora population can develop ecotourism offering that appeal to this community. Every conservation organization can tap into diaspora network for support. Every local community can find partners among those who left but never forgot their roots. Migration does not mean connection. When it is done well, the opportunities are very huge. Every country with significant diaspora population can develop ecotourism offering that appeal to this community. Every conservation organization can tap into diaspora network for support, and every local community can find partners among those who left but never forgot their roots. My call to action is simple. Number one, engage diaspora community intentionally. Two, build partnership rooted in trust, transparency, and respect. Three, listen to their ideas, welcome their contributions, and create opportunity for meaningful involvement. And finally, recognize that some of your most passionate conservation allies may be living thousands of kilometers away, but they remain deeply connected to the landscape they call home. Together, we can harness the energy, the resources, and the knowledge of diaspora community to strengthen ecotourism, protect ecosystem, and sustain livelihood. At this point, I want to thank you all for your attention, and I now invite your questions and reflection. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. But please don't go because you're still going to react to some of the comments. Thank you, sir. That's a well-presented paper. And your topic is quite new. Diaspora conservative, so diaspora migration. One would have thought that when we talk, most times when we talk about diaspora migration, when we talk about diaspora that's coming back home, we look at the remittance. We don't look at their relationship and the interaction with the ecosystem. So ecotourism has taught us a new one, that diasporans coming home alone, we shouldn't just look at just the remittance and the benefit to the family, but we should also look at nature. How does it benefit nature and the interaction? So coming home is not just to see friends and relatives, but also to come and have a key and have a, I don't know which word to use now, relationship with nature. Thank you, sir. Professor Hakim, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sir, let's have you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I go by my surname or last name, Tijani.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir.
It's okay. For the record, I want to thank Dr. Rimai. If you stop reading or associating, and join the upper level, whatever it takes, but by His grace. I want to thank you for sharing knowledge with us, and I want to thank you for some of us re-educating us about a topic that you have and the focus that you have actually talked about in the past, but with a new dimension. So Dr. Rimaye is not new to CEMGS. He has been one of those people, scholars, colleagues that have actually added value. And I was thrilled to be part of this morning. Like Dr. William, Amina William, he happens to be one of those first line of scholars that actually presented on this platform, perhaps under COVID when we started. I love the title, but I will speak based on his presentation. I'm not too sure whether this is an extract from an ongoing book manuscript. The reason why I'm asking that question or paraphrasing is the fact that you presented a general global overview of diasporic connection, migration, and then conservation. Okay. And at the end of the day, you try to come home, which is where? Nigeria. So if this is not a general manuscript for a book, potential book, if you're thinking about publishing in any journal, which of course we will welcome it at CMG Journal, I'm suggesting, sir, that you look into the possibility of adding Nigeria in terms of specificity and case study. Nigeria. You have more info about Nigeria. You try to venture into Uganda and some other Philistine and what have you. But within the context of diasporic connection, remittances, and what have you. But I think the most important thing about this paper is that area little research, little talked about, little published, conservation, and that connectivity, the mix of that diasporic connection. So that is one. I will not represent your paper, but you give me time, okay? It's just to add on. So Nigeria also important is the fact that from the start go, you need to give us a working definition of conservation village concept because it's a new paradigm in analysis of migration and global studies. Remember, you're speaking to Global Studies Forum and scholars. So, a definition of conservation village concept, as you have eloquently did for diaspora as a definition, and that diasporic connection will add value to your specificity, one, Nigeria, and other places that I will mention shortly. I should also say that Nigeria, we notice you are speaking, so we can go ahead and lower my hand, but don't distract me, please. uh, Nigeria came late into this business. I was expecting to hear about what Ghana is doing and harvesting millions of dollars, not just in terms of return, but also in terms of conservation of those historic places, heritage places around. So it is good that Nigeria is now in the business. It is good that NITCOM, under this administration, has really taken it up, what some of us have been clamoring for. And Badagry is now a gateway of return. You see? So it teaches us about that diaspora, the African diaspora, particularly the West Coast and the Central Coast of Africa, which was the fulcrum of transatlantic migration. And then if you go to the East Coast, you look at, all those, coastal areas. So it is also about you should give room for educational and learning. Your idea, your narrative, your analysis should also look into educational and learning, paradigm, that is as a learning tool. And this is where we should also individually be thinking about alternative revenue for self, for department, for the institution. Because with our knowledge, we can reach out to those colleagues across the Atlantic, across the Mediterranean, and say, I am Dr. Ori Maye, and I have knowledge about these places. And then you can bring your students every summer. You can even send your students to study abroad, okay? Because it's not limited to some of us that are either from Lagos, from Ijebu, from whatever, that want to come home. It's not about carnival. This is what you have showcased for us in terms of economic potential for the community, for the individual, for the state, for the nation is so huge that we need to tap into. Also, you may want to find out about the role of government, which you also mentioned. And that is part of what informed me to advise that you add Nigeria as part of the title. Let me also state that the area of conservation, okay, should be fully annexed. We have so many. Apart from NITCOM effort in Badagry, okay, the Gateway, Badagry Gateway, we have so many. Take for instance, the Abayomi, farm estate along Ibadan. The Emirate Forest Reserve is a huge place for learning, for communal, in terms of the intersection of the community that you mentioned and the individual, in this case, a group of ethnicity that connected and are now conserving. We have the Lekki Conservation Center. We have the Yankari Game Reserve. You have Lufasi Nature Park. You have Obudu in Plateau, or Obuku in Plateau. We have also in Delta and Edo State. So if you can connect all of this to beef up that aspect in your paper, that is the conservation, it will go a long way to making it a very, in my opinion, fine read. And I thank you for allowing me to speak. And I thank you also for, educating us on this very, very important topic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Epikule Tijani, sir. Thank you, sir. Please, can we have Dr. Emena Williams, please, sir?
Yeah, thank you very much. Dr. Rimai, congratulations. I'm very impressed. Thank you for also enlightening us.
Thank you.
Open our eyes to quite a lot of things, particularly those of us in development studies. Like Prof rightly mentioned, I think it will do us good if in your work, the scope is narrowed to perhaps Nigeria, like you said. There are quite a number of conservations, that you can really deal on. But I know that is cost effective, is very expensive to run such research. Perhaps you can also narrow it down to Southwest Nigeria, where you have quite a number of information to deal with. I think that would help. My contribution to some of the your slides is perhaps when you mention figures and all of that, there is need for you to also include sources. These are very clear. Even if there are slides, sources should be included so that somebody seeing your slide from outside will know that these informations were retrieved from those sources. And then your diagram also on diaspora tourism and conservation outcomes, I think that also needs sources. The source needs to be mentioned so that that will also help and add value to your slide. And then those of us who might not be seeing the full paper can take cognizance of that. All the same, I want to thank the center. We are looking forward to having more of this coming up this session, and I want to assure you that we'll be there to make more presentation. Thank you, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you. My Jody.
Thank you, Dr. Emena. Thank you, Dr. Emena, sir. Yes, sir. I can see the hands of Dr. Olushola. Is it Professor Olushola?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me also congratulate Dr. Urimaye for that enriching presentation, aligning my thoughts with that of my prof, Professor Tijani. I, want to say that you have actually opened this series of presentation for this year on a very interesting note, and I congratulate you on that. Then before I just make my few contributions, let me greet everybody Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Happy New Year to the newly appointed director of the center. Newly appointed director of the center, and I'll give you it. And let me also say Happy New Year to my Oga, Professor Tijani, and Happy New Year to everybody. Having said that,
thank you.
I want to start by appreciating the presenter for, enlightening us, especially in the area of, the cultural integration, that you mentioned at the beginning, of your presentation. I'm actually impressed, that
before he comes up, let me just make my comment. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. And just before Professor Ibukule Tijani, sorry sir, don't mind me. Before he spoke, I know when you were presenting, I wrote a question down, but in between you answered, how does this diaspora travel tourism benefit ecosystem? But you gave some strong reasons. But now you have made us to understand, somebody like me, I've learned today that when diaspora tourism takes place, when people come home, they don't just come because of relationship, as I said earlier. There's a benefit that goes, there's this to the cultural ties to, is it back? Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. There's this connection to home that actually brings people back. And then we should try to conserve some of these tourist sites to actually benefit the system and help people. And then when you were presenting, just as has been said, I expected you, my mind went to places like the Aligongo Fishing Festival in Sokoto, the Calabar Carnival, your festival. I was thinking you were actually going to list some of these activities in Nigeria, but just as every other person has said, please, you need to go back to that paper and beef that up. And you have told us that there's need for us to actually conserve some of these natural resources, because when diaspora tourism takes place and people come home, they need to relate. Okay, I think Dr. Olushola is back. Yeah. They need to connect back to nature. Thank you, sir. I want to give you the floor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And I want to advise you to remove your video so that the available bandwidth will carry your voice.
Thank you very much. So like I said before, I was disconnected. So I congratulate Dr. Rimaye. Having said that, I just want to raise a few observations. At some point, I was disconnected. So if My observations have been captured in your presentation. Please pardon me. One of them is the issue of methodology. I wouldn't know whether you announced, your method, for collecting data and for that. I wouldn't know whether you had anybody upon which this very educative work is anchored. You may want to suggest, if you deem it fit, that probably it is necessary to use one or two theories to anchor your work. Another point, another issue I want to raise. So I want you to look at that, how cultural, divergence can actually inhibit or hinder, collaborative engagement, between the host community and, the migrants, into that newly, the new community where they have migrated to. Because you made mention of the impressive development activities, that can actually emanate from that contact, but the issue of cultural divergence, can actually inhibit that process. So is there any, I wouldn't know whether it is within the scope of your work, in terms of, looking at how cultural divergence can inhibit, that robust engagement, and what could be done, to overcome such a challenge. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. I saw one hand up earlier on. I think it's Professor Bello Kamal, if I'm right. Sir, are you still? I think I'll hand over to the director of the center now, Professor Samuel Iroye, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone.
My dean.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, mine is just solidarity message to both the presenter and the director of the center, the current director of the center, and the previous directors for a successful outing. The presenter, we are proud of you, and I enjoy your making sure that you are established relationship between tourism, ecosystem, and migration, which is a very good academic exercise. That is a kind of interrelationship, interconnectedness among the three concepts: ecosystem, migration, and tourism. So thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Presenter, sir, can you please comment before we tell you?
Yes, thank you, sir. I want to thank all the people that have made one comment or the other. Well, from my Oga, that's Professor Tijani, thank you for all your questions. I have documented them. Actually, this work was taken from a manuscript. And that, since the title is looking at, migration as it relates to conservation holistically. But in my manuscript, I actually dealt with some of these sites that you mentioned. And I want to thank you for, all those suggestions. I'm going to go back because I intend to publish the work in the journal of the center. So all the suggestions you gave me, I've noted them, and I'm going to actually effect them on the paper. Then I actually thank Dr. Emina too, my friend. Thank you for being there always. And thank you for your suggestions. Actually, the sources I have of the sources of those information. But you know, we normally talk to our students that when you are making a PowerPoint presentation, it shouldn't be PowerWord. That's why I thought putting those information there may make it too wordy, but it's in the paper. And that paper, I'm going to send it to you for you to, most especially because of your work that has bearing with what I'm talking about. Then, well, if anybody is writing a paper, there should be methodology, there should be theories. They are entrenched in the work. It's only because I'm afraid of time. I don't want small electronic paper to be sent to me to tidy up. Time is going, this and that. That is the reason why I just narrow it down to what we have there. But I have, apart from the fact that all the new suggestions that are made, I have a well-written manuscript, which when I, inculcate all these suggestions to, I'm going to send it to whoever, well, of course, it's going to be published. So on a final note, I want to thank all the people that has made it out to be on the call. And I want to thank those who have made comments. I want to thank my people from the Department of Tourism. They are all here. God bless you. I thank one of my professors from FUTA, Professor Laide Oyeleke, is equally online too. I equally thank the center director, the new center director, who deemed it fit to call on me. Who am I to say no? I'm always there anytime you call. God bless you. Thank you all, and God bless. Thank you.
Professor Ire, I have a new hand up. I wanted to alert Dr. Orimaye
Yes,
that you should look for Dr. Emina William. He was so generous for not mentioning his name, but if you look for his paper that was eventually published, I think you will benefit from some of the idea in terms of the developmental
aspect
of it. And I'm delighted that you guys are friends. Okay.
We are very good.
I know you won't mention it. It's a very but I read it and I know it. Yeah.
Amina is a good colleague of mine. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
I don't know. Professor Gloria Aneto was online a few minutes ago. I don't know if she's back. If she's not back, maybe Professor Iroye will take over before she comes on. Is Professor Gloria Aneto on, ma?
No, she's not online.
She's still not back. Okay,
Yes.
maybe network issue. Director, sir. Professor Samuel. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Joyce. I thank you for anchoring the program with me. I want to appreciate everybody for being here. This is Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies, National Open University. Here in this center, we do evidence-based research about pressing and emerging migration and global challenges in Nigeria, Africa, and the globe generally. This center was established in February 2020 with Professor Tijani, who was the spearhead man who started the program, and he's still with us. If you were physically here, I will say we should give him a round of applause that you have given back to children who are doing exploits on your behalf. Professor Tijani, we appreciate you so much. Your strength will never be waned. You will continue to be stronger and stronger in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. It is because of your exploit that has given somebody like me a platform. I'm forever grateful for that, sir. The center is still doing well because of the effort of our predecessor or the founder of the center, Ted Fund and deemed fit to continue to sponsor us as an academic hub. And we have been doing a whole lot of programs. We publish journals, we host a lot of workshops and conferences. Since you're on our platform, we'll be inviting you this year for a whole lot of our programs and conferences that are going to be, well, academically enriching. So please always find time to join our presentation. As I said, we're a research hub and we're engaged in research about migration and global studies, both international and internationally and locally. We carry out a lot of research, so we would like to partner with any of you, and anyone who wants to partner with us, any department also, you're welcome. Like I said earlier, get your paper ready and speak with us. We'll be very, very willing to feature you in all our programs. If you want to know much about us, please feel free to get in touch with me or Dr. Joyce. I'll be happy to work with you. We are currently working on developing our academic program. We will call on some of you to help us as lecturers, as facilitators. Please don't deny us. Thank you for coming today. We'll send a message to you very soon to come for another one by next month. I appreciate Professor Gloria and Nito, who gave me the opportunity to be on the seat today also. Thank you so much. I didn't remember to appreciate my Dean of Faculty of Social Science, Professor Kamal. I celebrate you, sir. Thank you for that contribution. And my HOD, so that they won't chase me away from the department.
Yeah.
Dr. Taiwo Rebi, I appreciate you. I still remain loyal, so don't chase me away from the department. I appreciate Faculty of Science. Somebody joined from the Faculty of Science as the first person on the network. We appreciate you. All the departments, all the faculties, all the units of the university have been present. Thank you so much for joining us today. See you next month. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.